Hello everyone, welcome to Manika IAS. Welcome to the fast track revision course. In this, I'll be taking your polity and constitution. All right. So, the basic purpose of these classes are that you are able to cover your polity for preliminary 2026 examination, which is on 24th of May 2026. Also, the students who are trying to just build their basic understanding with respect to polity, the beginners, all right, they will also be it will also be helpful for them, all right. तो देखो, किसी भी सब्जेक्ट की अंडरस्टैंडिंग अगर आप डेवलप करने लगते हो तो उसको तीन चीज़ों में डेवलप किया जाता है. वन इज योर फैक्चुअल, another is your factual knowledge, conceptual understanding, and then your analytical abilities. जो आपका प्रिलिमिनरी एग्जामिनेशन होता है वो लार्जली इन दो डोमेन्स में होता है, कॉन्सेप्चुअल प्लस फैक्चुअल, कॉन्सेप्चुअल नॉलेज प्लस फैक्चुअल नॉलेज प्लस कॉन्सेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग. एनालिटिकल लार्जली आपका मेंस के अंदर आता है, क्योंकि आपको मेंस के अंदर डिस्कस, क्रिटिकली एनालाइज ये सब करना होता है. तो दैट इज वाई दिस नॉलेज इज हेल्पफुल फॉर योर मेंस. हाउएवर इन सम स्टेटमेंट बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस, कुछ क्वेश्चंस ऐसे होते हैं जस्ट 5 to 10% विच आर एनालिटिकल, ऑल राइट. सो वो पार्ट विच इज एनालिटिकल फॉर प्रीलिम्स विल बी कवरिंग हियर. रेस्ट द डोमेन ऑफ दिस क्लासेस इज दिस एस्पेक्ट कि आपका फैक्चुअल नॉलेज आपको आता हो एंड कॉन्सेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग बिल्ट हो जाए. एनालिटिकल विल कीप इट सेपरेट फॉर मेंस, ऑल राइट, क्लबिंग विद दीज टू थिंग्स. सो दिस इज द पर्पज, ऑल राइट. नाउ अब आप इंडियन पॉलिटी की बात करें तो सबसे पहले हमारे लिए समझना जरूरी है कि व्हाट डू यू मीन व्हेन यू से द टर्म पॉलिटी, ऑल राइट. अब पॉलिटी का मतलब क्या होता है? मतलब वी हैव हर्ड दिस टर्म अ लॉट मेनी टाइम्स, हम पढ़ते भी आ रहे हैं, बट बेसिक मीनिंग क्या होता है? बेसिक मीनिंग होता है स्ट्रक्चर और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ गवर्नेंस. कि how a particular entity is being governed, what is the structure, what is the organization. That is what do you mean when you say polity, all right. अब there are three components of this structure: rules, जिसको हम laws भी बोलते हैं, institutions and processes. These three together make what we call as polity. इन तीनों को क्लब करके अगर हम कहें, there are certain set of rules, okay, that define what is to be done, when it is to be done, and there are institutions that are following these rules, and then there are certain processes कि किस तरीके से certain things need to be done. Together that means they answer three basic fundamental questions of polity, which is who, how is power distributed. ओके, सबसे पहले कि अगर आपका कोई स्ट्रक्चर है तो उसके अंदर क्या डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ पावर है. द थिंग इज, नेक्स्ट इज डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर किसके पास है, हु इज डिसीजन मेकिंग अथॉरिटी. ठीक है. एंड द थर्ड एंड द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट इज हाउ इज सिटीजन पार्टिसिपेटिंग, सिटीजन पार्टनरशिप, पार्टिसिपेशन. Now this is the domain, this is the scope of polity that will be reading. कि कौन से लॉज हैं, कौन से इंस्टीट्यूशन है, कौन से प्रोसेसेस को फॉलो किया जाना है. फर्दर इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अंदर इन जनरल हाउ इज पावर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड, हु इज द डिसीजन मेकिंग अथॉरिटी ऑन व्हाट एस्पेक्ट, की किसके पास किस डिसीजन को लेने की पावर है, एंड देन हाउ इज सिटीजन पार्टिसिपेशन इज अकरिंग. दिस इज व्हाट is the domain and the scope of Indian polity. This is what we'll be referring to when we'll be trying to study, and इसी अप्रोच के साथ हम लोग को फॉलो करना है when we are reading the polity. It will be very easy हमारे लिए भी हो जाएगा अगर हम इस तरीके से स्ट्रक्चर करके बेसिक पॉइंट्स में ब्रेक करके किसी भी कॉन्सेप्ट को समझने की कोशिश करेंगे तो विल बी इन अ बेटर पोजिशन टू अंडरस्टैंड एंड मेक नुआंस्ड एनालिटिकल abilities. Okay, so दिस इज व्हाट इट इज. अगर आप इंडियन पॉलिटी की बात करें तो हमारे 3 पिलर्स हैं. ऑफ इंडियन गवर्नेंस. One is your executive, then is your legislature, and then is your judiciary. ठीक है. नाउ एग्जीक्यूटिव कौन होता है? एग्जीक्यूटिव हु इज एग्जीक्यूटिंग द लॉज and the rules. In Indian case, who are the executive? Your president, vice president, prime minister, and council of minister when you talk about center. And then parallelly you have in your states. Okay. Now there are 2 type of executive. These are your temporary executive, and then you have permanent executive, which are your civil servants. Why they are temporary? Because they are elected only for a tenure of 5 years or so. Okay, details we'll be discussing when we're discussing the parliament and the executors. All right, what is your legislature? Legislature is a body who is responsible for framing of laws. All right, so in Indian case, when you talk of parliament and state legislative bodies, ठीक है, तो पार्लियामेंट में व्हाट डू वी हैव? लोकसभा एंड राज्यसभा. दिस इज रेफर टू एज हाउस ऑफ पीपल. दिस इज रेफर टू एज हाउस ऑफ स्टेट्स. And then comes your judiciary. Judiciary is your Supreme Court, High Court, and your lower courts. And there are 2 interesting things which is there in Indian Constitution, which is separation of power and balance of power. किसी भी एक बॉडी के पास ओवर आर्चिंग पावर्स नहीं है दूसरी बॉडीज को ओवरराइड करने के लिए. ओके, एंड देयर इज अ क्लियर बट नॉट सो क्लियर डिविजन ऑफ पावर. जैसे एग्जीक्यूटिव इज ऑल्सो अ पार्ट ऑफ लेजिस्लेटिव, सो दिस इज एन ओवरलैपिंग थिंग, बट स्टिल दे हैव डिफरेंट रोल टू प्ले, and that is why you have separation of powers, and judiciary is there to take care of these actions. Executive is responsible to legislature, and that is why you say we have balance of power also. Further, executive and legislature can, because legislatures are the one framing laws, so they can keep a check on the activities of judiciary, ताकि कोई भी बॉडी ओवरराइड करके डू नॉट टेक अस टू अ सिनेरियो वेयर जहाँ पे एक बॉडी का या किसी पर्सन का रूल हो, ऑटोक्रेटिक रूल ना हो, एंड यू हैव डेमोक्रेटिक रूल. बिकॉज हम ऑटोक्रेटिक रूल ऑफ ब्रिटिशर से बाहर निकल के डेमोक्रेसी की तरफ गए थे. सो आर द एजेंडा ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मेकर्स वाज that you ensure that there is a democratic rule and no body has an overarching powers above the others. All right, having said that, all of 3 are subjudice to Constitution of India. In India, we have constitutional supremacy. That means the law of the land, that is the Constitution of India, is supreme एंड कोई भी आपकी एग्जीक्यूटिव, लेजिस्लेचर, जुडिशरी, सिटीजन, नन and nobody is above the constitution of India. All right. So any decision that has to be taken वो इसकी boundaries में होना चाहिए, आप इसको surpass नहीं कर सकते. This is why we say India has constitutional supremacy. And why they resorted to a constitutional supremacy? Because उनका decision was based on the simple fact कि they didn't wanted a autocratic rule और उनको democratic rule चाहिए था. उनको means your constitutional makers. ओके, ठीक है. That is why our constitutional makers decided that the constitution, that is the law of the land, the supreme law of land, will be the supreme, and there is a phrase which is called lex supremus to decide, to say that we have constitutional supremacy. Okay, so now what are the laws that we refer to as? So constitutional as we decided कि हम as we mentioned कि ये है आपका supreme law of land. ठीक है. उसके बाद there are statutory laws. These are different kind of laws in India या in general. ठीक है. Statutory simply means laws that are framed by legislature. Okay, these they are not constitutional because वो constitution, the book of constitution of India से नहीं आ रहे, तो वो constitutional तो है नहीं. लेकिन क्योंकि आपकी legislative जो कि democratically elected body है, उसने उसको frame किया है, so they have a certain mandate, they have certain say in the country. That is why they are statutory laws. Having said that, they have to be in boundaries of Constitution of India. इसके बाहर नहीं हो सकते because हमने डिस्कस किया कि Constitution क्या है, सुप्रीम लॉ ऑफ लैंड है, तो इसके नीचे ही आएंगे, इसके ऊपर नहीं आ सकते. ऑलराइट. देन यू हैव ऑर्डिनेंसेस. अब ऑर्डिनेंस क्या होता है? ऑर्डिनेंस इज एनी लॉ विच इज पास्ड बाय द प्रेसिडेंट और द गवर्नर. क्योंकि प्रेसिडेंट एंड गवर्नर आर नॉट द लॉ मेकिंग बॉडीज, तो ये जो ऑर्डिनेंसेस होते हैं दे आर टेम्परेरी एंड दे आर पास्ड ओनली फॉर अ पीरियड जहां पे आपकी पार्लियामेंट या स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव बॉडी का दे आर नॉट इन सेशन. ओके, अगर पार्लियामेंट या स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव बॉडी सेशन में नहीं है तो ordinances आते हैं by president and governor if the executive says it is necessary to have these law at this point of time. However, after a certain period of time, जब हम discuss करेंगे बाद में जाके the details with respect to ordinances, they have to be passed by the parliament or legislative bodies. अगर वो pass नहीं करते हैं they cease to exist. However, they have same say as your statutory laws. ठीक है. Then come your conventions. Now what are convention? Convention is when there are no laws which are written, but कुछ चीजें हो रही हैं because they are happening since ages, तो आप उनको करते जाते हो, but ऐसा कुछ written law नहीं है उसके ऊपर. These are conventions. Then you have bylaws. Bylaws are the laws which are passed by lower legislative bodies. That is your panchayat एंड म्यूनसिपैलिटीज. ओके, अगर पंचायत या म्यूनसिपैलिटीज कोई भी लॉज लेके आते हैं उनको हम बोलते हैं बाय लॉज एंड दे आर सब्जेक्टेड टू ऑर्डिनेंसेस. मतलब इन ऑर्डर ऑफ प्रायोरिटी योर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लॉज, स्टैट्यूटरीज, ordinances, then you have your bylaws, and then comes your rules and regulation. They are framed by executive. ठीक है, जो हमने एग्जीक्यूटिव वर्ड डिस्कस करी, दे फ्रेम रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन, and they come lower to bylaws in orders of priority. Okay, so this was the basic with respect to basic definitions जो हम लोगों ने डिस्कस करी कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लॉज क्या होते हैं, स्टैट्यूटरी लॉज क्या होते हैं. ऑल राइट, सो नाउ let's see कि how our constitution took the present shape. ठीक है, the historical development of constitution कि constitution 1949 में जो हमारे पास आया वो उसका डेवलपमेंट शुरू कहाँ से हुआ और कब हुआ. सो वी गो बैक इन ऑर्डर टू अंडरस्टैंड द डेवलपमेंट डायरेक्टली टू द ब्रिटिश इरा. सी हुआ क्या था, आफ्टर द बैटल ऑफ प्लासी एंड बैटल ऑफ बक्सर व्हाट हैपेंड, जो रॉबर्ट क्लाइव, आप ये सब हिस्ट्री में आपने पढ़ा होगा, who was leading the battles, and when he went back to his country which was Britain. So before that you need to understand कि जो EIC थी, ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी was a private body. देखो ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी जब इंडिया के अंदर आई, इट वाज अ प्राइवेट एंटिटी, इट वाज नॉट अ गवर्नमेंट एंटिटी, राइट. मतलब the private body they went to the British Parliament and said हमें इंडिया के अंदर स्पाइसेस का ट्रेड शुरू करना है. ओके, सो देयर वाज अ सेपरेट बॉडी विच वाज, उन्होंने क्वीन एलिजाबेथ थी, उन्होंने परमिशन दिया कि ओके आप चार्टर के थ्रू आप वहाँ पे जा सकते हैं. सो द चार्टर बाय द क्वीन एलिजाबेथ अलाउड कि ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी को टू कम एंड ट्रेड इन इंडिया एज अ प्राइवेट बॉडी. अगर आप आज भी देखो इंडिया के अंदर, if we have to trade, anybody from India have to trade from any other country, ठीक है, there are direct indirect rules and regulations that are there for the country to monitor कि इंडिया के अंदर कौन सा ट्रेड हो रहा है, क्या ट्रेड हो रहा है. इवन इफ इन योर प्राइवेट कैपेसिटी आपको कुछ लाना पड़ता है फॉरेन से, तो वहाँ पे एक्साइज ड्यूटी पे करना पड़ता है. फॉर ट्रेडिंग पर्पजेज ऑल्सो इफ यू ब्रिंग, यू हैव टू पे सम ड्यूटी टू द गवर्नमेंट. Okay, so that government takes a note कि क्या आ रहा है क्या जा रहा है in order to monitor the trade. All right, so this is a general rule across. So that is why EIC was a private company. Now when they came, their journey take them to Battle of Plassey and they gained Diwani right of Bengal after Plassey and Buxar. And when Robert Clive went back to Britain, the Britain Parliament realized कि ये और इनके जितने भी साथ में अकम्पनिंग लोग थे, दे बिकेम वेरी रिच एंड दे लूटेड इंडिया. उन्होंने बहुत, दे इन द सेंस दे क्रिएटेड अ लॉट ऑफ रेवेन्यू फ्रॉम इंडिया. ठीक है, नाउ विद देयर इंटरेस्ट ब्रिटिश पार्लियामेंट को अब ये चाहिए था कि दे ऑल्सो वॉन्टेड अ पाई ऑफ दिस रेवेन्यू, बिकॉज ये प्राइवेट एंटिटी थी, इन्होंने टैक्सेस पे किए एंड दे केप्ट द एंटायर प्रॉफिट, राइट. लेकिन अब ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट को क्या था कि ओके वी ऑल्सो वॉन्ट टू बी लाइक वी वॉन्ट टू टेक अ पाई आउट ऑफ दिस प्रॉफिट दैट दे आर मेकिंग. तो फ्रॉम 1773 onwards, British Parliament started passing regulating acts. Purpose क्या? To seek direct control over the functioning of EIC in India, so that they strengthen their control and eventually the private entity का जितना भी powers था transfer it to the government, British government के पास चला जाए. Okay, in order to make more revenue out of it. So that is why they started passing regulating act, and the first act was passed in 1773. The purpose is to gain control over the EIC and its revenue. All right. So in this, what did they make? They make the first executive body for India, which was Governor General of Bengal plus 4 members. ठीक है, अब इस बॉडी के पास सिर्फ एग्जीक्यूटिव बॉडी थी, इसके पास कोई भी लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स या लेजिस्लेटिव बॉडी नहीं थी. This marked the beginning and evolution of Constitution of India to and the polity of India to the date that we are in. All right. So the first executive was, and who was this Governor General of Bengal? He was Warren Hastings. ठीक है. एंड अब यहाँ पे कितने मेंबर्स हैं? 5. तो डिसीजन वाज टेकन बाय मेजॉरिटी. ठीक है, 5 में से 3 ने जिस चीज पे अग्री कर दिया, डिसीजन वुड बी टेकन ऑन दैट बेसिस. ओके, सो दिस वाज द वेरी फर्स्ट एक्ट. देन केम इन चार्टर एक्ट. Sorry, then came the Pitt's India Act. Of 1784. In this act, the strength of Governor General Executive Council was reduced to GG in Governor General in Bengal plus 3. That means collective strength was 4, and now the Governor General was given overriding powers. All right. So this was your Pitt's India Act of 1784. Then came your Charter Act of 1833. Now, in this act, Governor General of Bengal plus 3 plus 1. This was a law member which was added, and that means for formulation of laws, and this gave the body a legislative function. So the first time the Governor General Executive Council got legislative function was through Charter Act of 1833, where a law member was added named Macaulay, Lord Macaulay, as we refer to as. Okay. All right. So this is your the Charter Act of 1833. Then came your Charter Act of 1853. Now, in this, for the first time, a legislative body जिसको was framed. So the executive body now was Governor General of Bengal plus 4, which is this. ठीक है? And then a separate legislative body of 6 members. Was framed. तो the first time जो separate legislative body आई वो that came through the Charter Act of 1853. Now जो 1773 में they started centralization of power, and here it became a centralized power. Okay. Then came your Charter Act of 1861. Now this was another special charter act. The reason being it came after revolt of 1857. After revolt of 1857, what happened? Complete control चला गया था British Parliament के पास. Now the EIC was no more an independent body, not even 1%. The complete control transfer to British Parliament. अभी इसके अंदर जो गवर्नर जनरल था, Governor General of India turn into Viceroy. All right. Another thing I forgot to mention that in Charter Act of 1833, Governor General of Bengal was changed to Governor General of India. He was now made the Governor General of India through under 1833 Act, and that is why we said कि complete centralization of power यहाँ पे हो गया था, because सिर्फ अब general जो था वो बंगाल का नहीं था, it was of India. Okay. complete centralization. All right. So Governor General of India became the viceroy, and there was a secretary of states that were appointed, and he happened to be in Britain only. And the representation was made by viceroy in India. All right. So here, for the first time, what they did, देखो, अब 1857 जो revolt था, जब आप history में पढ़ोगे, you would know why this revolt was also referred to as First War of Independence, because every section of society जो इंडिया में उस टाइम पे थे, they were very disgruntled and बहुत परेशान होके they decided, okay fine, we want to, हमें इसको नहीं, वी कांट टेक इट नाउ, वी वांट अ रेजोल्यूशन आउट ऑफ इट. तो बी इट स्टूडेंट्स, बी इट women, बी इट soldiers, बी इट armies, be it civil servants, every section of society participated in the revolt of 1857. However, it was not a well leadership से नहीं था, बहुत ऐसे structured नहीं revolt था, so that is why it saw the phase it saw. But this gave the British government a realization कि till the time you will, आप Indians को participate नहीं करवाओगे, so it is now very difficult to rule them. So they decided they will take away, they will start taking the policy of carrot and stick, जिसको बोलते हैं गाजर देना. ठीक है, कि मतलब एज ए टोकन कि खुश भी रहें, will give them some sort of incentives so that there is no revolt of the uh, magnanimous, इतना revolt ना हो जितना 1857 का था, so that कुछ suppression बना रहे, they will start giving, they started giving carrots. Okay. And on the other hand, they started to ascertain more and more dominance in Indian parliamentary system, yeah, Indian society as such. Okay. So what was the carrot that they gave here? Now, जो गवर्नर जनरल एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल थी, प्लस योर imperial legislative council, this is your law making body, this is your executive body. Now the governor general executive viceroy executive council हो गई ना अब तो it became GG plus 4. It was a all British council. Obviously यहाँ पे कोई भी इंडियन नहीं था. However, इसकी इन्होंने बोला कि आप 6 to 10 की strength you can keep whatever you want. There was a flexible strength, and 50% has to be an unofficial majority. Strength जो 50% इसमें से आप जितने भी होंगे unofficial members होने चाहिए. ठीक है, that means they should not hold any sort of office under the government. Plus, Indian were allowed for the first time. Okay. 6 to 12. So 3 Indian members were nominated. Who was the 3 Indian members who were nominated in this? The Raja of Banaras, all right, and then Maharaja of Patiala, and Sir Dinkar Rao. These were the 3 members who became the first Indian members to enter the Imperial Legislative Council by the Act of 1861, in which the British Parliament allowed the presence of Indian members by the nominations which were done by the provincial councils. जहाँ पे इसी act के through there were 3 provinces जहाँ पे provincial councils की provision दी गई थी that they will also have councils, and they and through them and plus Bengal Chamber of Prince. Okay, so this was about 1861 Act. Then came your 1892 Act. All right. अब इसके अंदर क्या था? Again, plus यहाँ पे the strength was expanded to कि आप 10 to 16 members can be there. An element of indirect elections were introduced here. ऑल राइट स्टूडेंट्स, जस्ट फॉर द करेक्शन, जो हमने डिस्कस किया था कि प्रोविंशियल काउंसिल्स प्लस बंगाल चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स okay they used to they nominated the members in 1861 act. No, they didn't. It was in 1892 act that they nominated, and that is why we refer to them as indirect election. तो 1861 में नहीं nominate किया था, 1892 एक्ट के अंदर नॉमिनेट किया था. प्लीज आप करेक्ट कर लेना व्हेन यू विल बी मेकिंग योर ओन नोट्स. ऑलराइट, सो दिस वाज अबाउट 1892 एक्ट. प्लस इसके अंदर फंक्शंस जो एड ऑन दिए गए थे, दे वर अलाउड टू डिस्कस बजट. ठीक है, बट कोई सप्लीमेंट्रीज दे कुडंट आस्क. एट द सेम टाइम they had no right in any decision making power. The eventual decision making power rested with viceroy. Okay, and he could also refuse to answer the questions. So it was just a sort of for the nominal purposes. Eventually they didn't had any actual power to discuss budget or so. Then came your 1909, that is your Morley Minto Act. Okay. Now what happened under this act? Basically एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल के अंदर, जो वाइसरॉय एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल थी, उसके अंदर फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम वन इंडियन वाज अलाउड. ठीक है, हु वाज दैट इंडियन? दैट इंडियन वाज सत्येंद्र प्रसाद सिन्हा. एंड व्हाट हैपेंड टू दिस काउंसिल? द 1892 के अंदर जो 10 to 16 लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल्स के थे, इट एक्सपैंडेड हियर फ्रॉम 60 members. From this, they expanded to 60 members. Okay. फर्दर डिस्कशन ऑफ बजट और सप्लीमेंट्री आस्क करने की प्रोविजन इसके अंदर एड ऑन की गई थी. मतलब बहुत और लेजिस्लेटिव फंक्शन दिए थे, बट इवेंचुअली द डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर रेस्टेड विद वाइसरॉय, सो इट डिडंट ऐड any impact. However, what purpose did it serve was कि when they were allowed to discuss budget, when they were allowed to ask supplementary questions, so उसका एक benefit ये होता है कि it create a sense of awareness among the citizens, because this all get printed in magazines and all. So this was the purpose that it had. However, in reality in law making के अंदर उसके पास कोई power नहीं थी. So it was nominal. However, it was effective to the extent that it created awareness. If even if you had a chance to say what you want to say, is also a big thing, rather than keeping mum in your own homes and do nothing. So this was the advantage that it had. Now come to another landmark reform was 1919 Montego-Chelmsford reforms. Okay, so what was these reforms? What did they do? जो आपका स्ट्रक्चर था इंपीरियल लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल, इट वाज अबॉलिश्ड. It gave the parliament its present structure that is had, which is council of states and council of states and legislative assembly. This structure was given in 1919. So this is what presently we have as Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay, so it gave parliament its current form. यहाँ से evolution होना शुरू हुआ. The present structure of governance that India have, which is parliamentary form of government. All right. Further, at the same time, it allowed for bicameralism, which is this structure. when you have two houses, this is referred to as your bicameralism structure, and there was diarchy at provinces level. Provincial diarchy was introduced. That means provinces now they could make laws on certain subjects. जो आप अगर आप पॉलिटी किसी को पता है या जिसने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन भी देखा है, तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अंदर एक शेड्यूल 7 है, ठीक है, जिसके अंदर 3 लिस्ट हैं, स्टेट लिस्ट, सेंट्रल लिस्ट एंड कंकरस लिस्ट, कि कुछ सब्जेक्ट जिनके ऊपर पर्टिकुलर लेवल ऑफ गवर्नमेंट कैन फ्रेम लॉज. सिमिलरली प्रोविंशियल डायarchy इंट्रोड्यूस किया गया था. दैट मीन्स there were some subject which were transferred to the provinces, and those were referred to as transferred subject, जो दिए गए थे प्रोविंशियल प्रोविंसेस को, जिनके ऊपर दे कुड मेक देयर ऑन लॉज. ठीक है. हावेवर जो आपके मेजर जैसे फाइनेंसेस वगैरह, डिफेंस वगैरह होता है, दैट वर नॉट गिवन टू देम. द लोअर वंस लाइक एजुकेशन या फिर those public order, these were given to the provincial, but however the major were kept by the center itself. ठीक है, and those were referred to as reserved subject. So this is what was about 1919 कि ILC abolish कर दिया गया था. Parliamentary का current form of structures were introduced. This is referred to as bicameralism. Provincial diarchy was introduced. All right. Then came your Act of 1935, Government of India Act of 1935. The present form of constitution that we have is derived and made largely from this particular act. Okay. So what happened in this? Provinces के level पे what they did was diarchy was abolished and autonomy was introduced. Further, अगर हम 1992 में देखें, 1892 में सॉरी, इनडायरेक्ट इलेक्शंस इंट्रोड्यूस किए थे एज वी डिस्कस्ड. देन केम योर 1909, जहां पे लिमिटेड डायरेक्ट इलेक्शंस थे. लिमिटेड डायरेक्ट इलेक्शंस मतलब द मुस्लिम ग्रुप्स were allowed to vote for Muslim candidate and Muslim constituency. That means limited direct elections है, सिर्फ Muslims were allowed to vote for Muslims. This was an attempt of divide and rule. जब आप हिस्ट्री में पढ़ोगे यू विल रियलाइज कि 1909 केम आफ्टर अ पॉइंट वेयर देयर वाज डिवीजन बिटवीन मुस्लिम लीग एंड इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस. ताकि ये डिवाइड को फुलफिल ना कर सके, एंड दे इंट्रोड्यूस्ड communal clashes by giving Muslim candidates a Muslim constituency. मुस्लिम कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी होगी, वहां पे कैंडिडेट मुस्लिम होगा और उसको वोट भी सिर्फ मुस्लिम से कर पाएंगे. दिस वाज लिमिटेड डायरेक्ट इलेक्शंस एज अ under the policy of their policy of divide and rule, but it was a progressive step in terms of, if you see, the democratic approach of direct elections. Then came your 1919. In this was expanded to other communities. However, elections, so after 1919 came 1935. In 1935, the communal elections, they were increased to for other groups also. Plus, at the same time, they allowed for limited franchise. That means certain population, 1 to 1.5% of population on the basis of some property and money and education, they were able to vote on the elections. So it was a very limited one, but still they gave. Then in another thing that they did in 1935, as we were discussing earlier, was they abolished, as we discussed, diarchy in state. Abolished diarchy in state. At the same time, they introduced diarchy in center. Okay. And again, they kept the major subject with themselves, and some basic subjects were given to the Indian ministers, right? Then came your 1947 Act, which is your Indian Independence Act. Under this act, on the basis of the cabinet mission proposals, they allowed for a constituent assembly. Now, this assembly was responsible for framing the Constitution of India. We'll be discussing in detail the structure, function, and organization of the Constituent Assembly in the next lecture. All right, till then, you please read what we have discussed. So, here, what was the purpose of this? To create a basic framework with respect to the historical development of the parliamentary structure कि कैसे कैसे डेवलप हुआ. देखो, ये वाला जो पोर्शन हमने कवर किया है, इट्स लिटिल डिफिकल्ट, इट्स लिटिल ट्रिकी, इट्स लिटिल क्लमजी फॉर एनीबडी टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो व्हाट यू हैव टू डू इज, व्हाट शुड बी योर अप्रोच, कि एक बार ही यू रीड इट. और अगर आप इसको हिस्ट्री के एक्ट के साथ क्लब करोगे, आपके पास और ज़्यादा क्लैरिटी आएगी. इवन इफ यू आर अ बिगिनर, ठीक है, अगर आपको नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, यू कैन लेट इट गो, let it pass, it's okay, just read and try to learn what I have told you so far. This will be helpful. The purpose was कि आपका जो parliamentary structure है, आप उसको थोड़ा सा समझ पाओ कि ये क्यों आया, why we adopted the parliamentary structure, कुछ reasoning में it will help you. ठीक है. एंड दैट इज वाई कुछ बेसिक टर्म्स जैसे डायarchy क्या होता है, बाइकैमरलिज्म क्या होता है, डुअल हाउसेज हैं, and what is the organization structure, executive, legislative. So this was the purpose of the video, that matlab the purpose of the discussion that we had till this point of time. नेक्स्ट के अंदर विल बी डिस्कसिंग कंस्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली. अगर आपको कोई भी क्वेश्चन है, कोई भी डाउट है, आप कमेंट सेक्शन में पूछ सकते हो, आप चैट बॉक्स में पूछ सकते हो, आप मेल कर सकते हो. अगर आपको मेल करना हो तो आप इस पे कर सकते हो. आप टेलीग्राम या फिर व्हाट्सएप पे भी अपने क्वेश्चंस पूछ सकते हो. ठीक है. टिल देन, नेक्स्ट वीडियो में विल बी डिस्कसिंग अबाउट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूंट असेंबली. And till then, please revise, read, and if you have any doubts, please ask. Have a good day. Take care. Thank you.